Did you know that one of the most talked about teams in American football is facing enormous uncertainty about its future? And look, this uncertainty isn't coming from outside. It's coming from within the club itself. Today I'm bringing you information that's worrying a lot of people. And the most impressive thing is that the team owner himself spoke about it. But is what he said genuine support or just a way to buy time? Stay with me, because there's much more to this story than meets the eye. Imagine rooting for a team for years, following every game, every practice, every decision, and then a moment arrives when the future of the quarterback, the most important player on the team, the player who handles the ball and decides the course of everything, starts to become uncertain. That's exactly what's happening now with the Houston Texans. After the playoffs in January, the team lost to the New England Patriots 28-16, and in that game, the Texans quarterback played very poorly. That's no exaggeration. He threw the ball to the opposing team 4 times in the first half alone. 4 times. And in the last 2 playoff games he played, he had a total of 5 interceptions and 2 fumbles, which is when the player loses possession of the ball to the opponent. That's a lot. And fans around the world started to wonder, is this quarterback still the right man to lead the Houston Texans? And this is where the story gets even more interesting. The quarterback we're talking about is CJ Stroud. At just 24 years old, he was one of the most promising players the team has ever had. In the 2023 season, he won the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, one of the most important honors for a young player in the league. Everyone believed he would be the future of the Houston Texans for many, many years. But then came the last 2 seasons, and then came the playoffs, and then came that loss that left everyone speechless. The kid who seemed to be the solution suddenly became the big question mark, and when doubt knocks on a team's door, it doesn't come alone. It brings pressure. It brings rumors, it brings difficult decisions, and it's precisely about these decisions that I need to tell you now. If you want to stay up to date on everything about the Houston Texans, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. We bring you everything before everyone else. Cal Mcnair, the owner of the Houston Texans, spoke with a journalist from the Houston Chronicle, one of the most important newspapers in Texas. And when a team owner speaks to the press during a crisis, everyone pays attention. He said that the team fully supports CJ Stroud and that the quarterback is fully committed to being the starting player and everything that entails. Sounds good, right? Sounds like the problem is solved. But we need to read between the lines, because there's a huge difference between an owner saying they support a player and an owner saying they'll renew the contract and guarantee the player's future. And that difference, my friend, is precisely what's bothering the fans. While Mcnair spoke of support, he didn't once say that the team is planning to sign a contract extension with CJ Stroud. And in American football, a contract extension is the real proof that the team believes in the player. Without that extension, the support seems more like a promise than a guarantee. Houston Texans coach DeMeco Ryans also spoke publicly this week. He assured that CJ Stroud is focused on the preseason and has been working hard since January. Now, it's one thing for the coach to say that the player is training. Any player in the league is training during the off-season. The big question that remains is CJ Stroud improving? Is he correcting the mistakes he made in the playoffs? And that's where information that Mike Jones, from The Athletic, one of the most respected sports portals in the United States, brought to light comes in. According to him, it's still unknown whether the Houston Texans will make any greater commitment to CJ Stroud beyond activating the so-called 5th-year option on his contract, which is guaranteed until 2027. But 2027 is just around the corner. And what comes after that? It feels like the team is in a let's see what happens phase. And this uncertainty, for those who have rooted for the Texans for years, for those who have followed every victory and every defeat of this franchise, this uncertainty hurts. Let's put the numbers on the table, because numbers don't lie. CJ Stroud has 3 wins and 3 losses as a starter in the playoffs, half won, half lost. For a quarterback who was touted as one of the greatest talents of his generation, this balance is not what the fans expected. And the last 2 postseason games were a cold shower. 5 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles in 5 attempts. That's a lot of mistakes at a time when every play is worth an entire season. In American football, the playoffs are sacred. That's when the best teams and the best players show themselves to the world. And CJ Stroud, at this moment, fell short of expectations. But there's another side to this story that needs to be told as well, because it would be too easy to simply criticize and be done with it. This same CJ Stroud, at only 22 years old at the time, arrived in the NFL and surprised everyone in his debut season. He won the Offensive Rookie of the Year award in one of the most competitive leagues in world sports. Not just any player does that. He has talent. The question is, Will that talent show when the Texans need it most? Hannah Mcnair, vice president of the Texans Foundation and part of the family that controls the team, also spoke about CJ Stroud. She was very direct. She said you can't judge anyone based on 1 or 2 bad games because CJ has also done many good things throughout his career. She added that it was very difficult that those bad games happened precisely in the playoffs. But in her opinion, CJ is the kind of guy who takes this seriously. And here's an important detail. She said that, from what we've seen in this preseason, he's working very hard, and she's sure he doesn't want to go through that situation again. You know what I think when I hear that? I think the Mcnair family is rooting for him. They want to believe that CJ Stroud will redeem himself. But rooting is different from betting. And in this case, the real bet, the one that comes with a contract extension and a long-term financial commitment, hasn't been made yet. Let me tell you something that goes beyond soccer. Because in sports, as in life, we live in moments. We remember the joy of a great victory, and we don't forget the pain of an important defeat. Those who support the Houston Texans know this very well. This team has gone through so many phases. It has gone through rebuilding, coaching changes, and difficult choices. And every time a light appeared at the end of the tunnel, the fans embraced that light with everything they had. CJ Stroud was one of those lights, a talented, enthusiastic young man, full of future potential. And now the light is flickering. It hasn't gone out, but it's flickering. And what the most loyal fan, the one who has been following this team for decades, who has watched every game without missing a single one, who has defended the Texans in conversations with fans of other teams, what that fan feels now is a mixture of hope and fear. Hope that CJ Stroud will come back better. And there's a fear that the team will remain indecisive for too long and miss the window of opportunity. The Houston Texans are at a crossroads. And so is CJ Stroud. On one side, a young player who needs to prove that the playoffs weren't a reflection of who he really is. On the other, an organization that is watching, evaluating, and hasn't yet decided whether to fully commit to him. Cal Mcnair said that everyone is trying to improve every day, and I believe that. But real improvement shows on the field. It shows in the games that matter. And the next season will be the biggest test of CJ Stroud's career so far. You, who follow the Houston Texans with affection, what do you think? Do you still believe in CJ Stroud? Leave your comment below. I really want to know what you think. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now, because we continue to bring you everything about your team with care, respect, and the dedication that Texans fans deserve. Until the next video.